You are watching God of Wonder TV to refill, refresh, and resent by the word of nation.
Good morning. Praise the Lord. We are excited once again to be here on God of Wonder TV. It's been a blessed time, yes, a difficult time in our nation, and we thank God that we are alive today. We thank God that we are here. We can be able to have this conversation. So this is God of Wonder TV, holistic wellness show, where we talk about our mental wellness, we talk about our spiritual wellness, we talk about our physical wellness. Thank you so much for always following us, commenting, and even being able to share with your loved one, just to be able to become a blessing to one another. So today we will be talking about the situation in the nation. And to have that discussion is our very own Councillor Amy. And we will just delve into the situation in the nation. So welcome, Amy. You can introduce yourself to the viewers.
Okay. Thank you so much, Madam K. My name is Amy. As you've been told, I am Councillor Amy. I am with Salem Consultants, also Youth Concern, and I'm very happy and glad to be here. I am very privy to what is happening in the country, and it's something that is, let's just begin.
Yes, of course, but I think the official expression is just exactly what it is. We are in a tough time as a nation, and we can feel the anger, we can feel the frustrations, we can feel the pain of those who have lost loved ones, and allow me to use this opportunity to just condole with the families of those who lost their loved ones, and those others who are still living in pain in hospital beds. So it's such a painful moment for our nation. There are people who have lost their businesses. So we are in this state of so much loss. I don't know what this means to you, Amy. And I don't know whether in your time you have experienced this. Being a little bit older, we've been able to experience a number of these. We were here 1997. I might not have been very mature, but I can assure you I was almost the age of the Gen Zs who are out here now demonstrating. 97, we've seen 2007, we have seen, I have been here a little bit. So I have seen a bit of such unrest happening. I think the worst that we had was 2007. I remember I was just as a young mother, very devastating times. So I don't know how this says to you, and what does it mean to you?
First, I feel for the ones who have lost people. Of course, I don't believe that this was the intention even of the Gen Zs, or looking, going to fight for their rights. I don't believe that they had the end goal of death and bloodshed. I think they were just wanting to talk about what their grievances are and just wanting to be heard, right? We also experienced 2007. I think that's the one that we have seen in my age group is 2007, and most of us, I don't know, none of us was born in 1992. However, some millennials were alive then. And I think we are just tired of the same people doing the same things over and over again at our expense. Another thing I'm going to say is, you, our parents, you raised us to believe in ourselves. You raised us to understand that we have a voice. You raised us to understand that our thoughts matter, and that you taught us right from wrong. So that is what is being seen right now, is that we are able to make a decision for ourselves. We are able to understand what is happening. And it's very devastating to see that when we are doing the things we were taught as right, is being met with such opposition and such force. However, we understand that this is how change happens. Change happens with pain. It has never come easy. And we understand that. And what I think is most important is for everyone to play their parts, right? Which is what I'm feeling, or I think most of my age mates.
Wow, yes, that is the situation right now. Of course, it comes with a lot of mental baggage. It comes with a lot of pain. I have listened to what people expressing themselves, and clearly you can hear a lot of frustration and anger. Now, anytime anger is expressed that way, definitely it has an impact. I'm almost wondering how are people even relating in the house, because the heat is too much.
Yeah.
And even as our discussion today, of course, is our mental wellness during times of distress.
Yeah.
I've had you, of course, put out very valid questions of why is everybody not doing their part. Remember what I think one of the things that we have really lacked is truthfulness. So integrity is such a scarce thing in our time.
Yeah.
I mean, we lack integrity in how we handle finances. We lack integrity in how we share information. We lack integrity in how even we express ourselves. We lack integrity almost everything.
Yeah.
So I think also as we are talking about this, it's also a moment of introspection, so that we can be able to understand what is the fabric of our what is our moral fabric.
Yes.
What is our moral fabric as a nation? Have we accepted immorality? I mean, have we taken up evils and accepted them and lived with them, such that we are so comfortable executing them at any expense without caring who will be hurt and who is going to be impacted by that? So those are some of the things, and I feel like those are some of the things that we are expressing as a nation. As much as this looks like a youth movement, they may be the ones on the streets, they may be the ones talking the loudest, but this is a situation of the nation. For the older generations, they have fought these battles. We were just mentioning the 90s, we had 69. And those people who fought those battles are still here. We have people who experienced the coup that happened in 1982. So all these generations are here. They have experienced all these injustices that have been done on us. But also, I feel like although we claim to have independence, I think independence is a name. Because the frustration we just shared is that of, I mean, we claim to be independent, but really I am not independent. I cannot voice my opinion, and I be heard and not be shut down by that one who has more power than me.
Yeah.
So then there is no independence. We see other nations, especially those in the West, when they are demonstrating, the police will just be standing behind them. And as long as they are not violent and they are not causing any upheavals, and they are not, we saw that when Floyd was killed.
Yes.
We saw the whole of the US going to the streets, and people are demonstrating with placards and all. We never saw a single person being killed or being tear gassed or being washed out with that dirty water, simply because they went on the streets. So are we lying to ourselves that we also have independence and we don't. So I think it's a time also to have a conversation on this. And yes, it has such a heavy mental baggage that it lives in us. Sometimes I feel like we are buried so much. It's like we pick this, like now all the instances we mentioned all the way from 69, which of course I was not there, or even before, even those who fought for independence, the Mau.
Yes.
I happen to come from a family of one of the people who, my grandfather went to India for the Second World War.
Wow.
Came back, lived for only a year, died.
Wow.
So, I mean, if I connect my family with that one who fought for independence of other nations, what they gained is zero. So we've been burying, we cover up pain. We've covered up pain from a generation to another.
Wow.
I don't know for how long it's going to happen.
It has to stop.
But the truth is, it will explode.
I think this is it. I honestly believe this is it, because those are too many, like, how can you tell us about World War II? Honestly, those are things we read about in books. I'm even surprised.
About, in 1940, between 1940,
36 to 45.
My grandfather went, I think, in 40s, 44, 43 there.
Yeah.
They came back 45, 46, I think, around 47 he died. Wow.
I'm even surprised to hear that someone knows someone who went to fight the actual war. Like this, they kind of sound like they are so far from us. However, clearly they're still connected, because that sounds like something that you are carrying in you, and someone, probably your mother, carried from seeing it directly from her father. You
of course, this was my father's
father. Yeah.
So my father now grew up without parents.
Yeah.
Because the mother got married by someone else. My father was left with a family of I didn't know this will go here, but let us have it.
Yeah.
So my dad grew up with I think the uncles, and they were poor. They were also struggling. I say those who went in the actual war never benefited anything. So they come back.
They actually lost.
You want to expect that they would have come as heroes.
Yeah.
It is the same story with the Mau.
Yeah.
If you were to give the narrative of the actual people who went to the forest to fight,
yes,
that is the same story. So my father grew up this very poor family. I am excited that I can talk about it, because the resilience of my dad then is what maybe helped me be here.
Yeah.
So he grew up, and at around the age of 8 or 10, he had already become a house boy.
Wow.
So he lived in people's homes as a house boy. Graciously got into families that allowed him to go to school.
Wow.
So he would go to school, come back,
and work.
And that is how he was able to get money to take himself through school. And that is how he went through school, all the way to becoming a primary school teacher.
Wow.
So these are the stories. And imagine now, we are talking about, that is my dad is not alive. So we are talking about a generation that is not even here, but there are people who are impacted. Look at the impact of that in the life of my father.
Yeah.
Were it not for the resilience, and this is what I think this is what has kept us as a nation. Kenya, we are resilient.
That's true.
We are so resilient that we can be able to overcome anything. But the truth is, we are resilient, Amy, but But it is not that we heal from the emotional pain caused on us. It is that we pass it on to the next generation. So yes, my dad was able to grow up, become a very good teacher, but my dad was struggling with a lot. Issues of self-worth, issues of self-esteem. We are talking about, yes, I had teacher in a primary school, but I cannot remember having a clear conversation with my father. Because he didn't know how to communicate. It was not parented. So these are consequences of
that war.
Someone fighting for their nation, but really you don't gain anything. And I feel like these are the injustices that are piled up on top of another. Equally got into a bit of alcoholism that really distracted him. All these.
Wow. And that's kind of, I know you're talking about something that happened in the 40s that trickled all the way down, but that's also something that is coming up again in this time when you hear someone like a mom who was shot on the street, or a young man who was shot on the street who was maybe a breadwinner for that family. So that is also going to affect another generation if we do not be careful. And as I said before, everyone needs to really play their part, because even us as counselors, we need to really show up for the people and just kind of help them to navigate this, so that, like you said, the pain is not transferred. Last time you taught us about trauma and it being like a wound, and that if the wound is not taken care of, it oozes on the people who are closest to you. So if this trauma is not taken care of now, like you told us about your father's trauma and him not being parented, not being able to be a parent, it's the same thing that will happen again. It's like a vicious cycle, almost like it has to find a time and just reappear, and then Kenya is back to the same cycle. We need to stop it.
It is because we never have honest conversations. I think as a nation, we've never been honest. We have our systems are governed by lack of integrity. We glorify dishonesty.
That's true.
We are comfortable when injustices are done. We celebrate injustice.
Wow.
Yes, because I have clearly seen what was happening on the streets for the last couple of days that the people were on the streets. We have seen them being harassed. We've seen them being thrown at tear gas. We have seen them being arrested by plainclothes police, which is illegal.
Yeah, because
and we will
can we
go
know?
on air and not talk about it. We glorify justice. We are comfortable. That conversation will never happen. And on most occasions, you find even in our media, we will not talk about that. What happens is that we will cover this injustice. Things will go back to normal because we will just decide, let us just go on. Let life continue. But life has not continued. Because deep within our hearts, those pains are right in there.
Wow.
Like now, the families who lost children. I was going through the history of the story of this young boy, the 12-year-old, who apparently was shot 8 shots and is alive. So, yes, alive but dead. So, you can imagine the mess. So when I was listening to the story of the mother and showing how this boy was talented, the mother was saying that the boy was very talented in arts. He was looking forward to just taking his art to the next level. And I pray that there's someone who will just take his art and it is put somewhere, even if it is in the museum, and we can be able to buy it. Or just the family to just be able to remember this young boy who his blood went for the sake of the nation. So This is a family that has been left with a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Now, if we just assume and imagine that let's move on, because that is what our politicians tell us. That is what even the church is telling us. Let's move on. Get out of the streets. Come, let's move on. Move on now. How?
Yeah.
My mental status, the anger levels, the pain, the injustices that have been done. How do you tell us to move? How are we moving on?
Yeah.
So when we pile up injustices as a nation, we are simply adding up pain. But at one point, it is going to explode.
Yeah.
And I feel like one of the things maybe even that makes many of our politicians be as greedy as they are. It is unfortunate to see. I was watching yet another clip, and I saw those who fought in the 90s.
Yeah.
They are all in offices now, and they fought more. But they're doing the exact things they were fighting against. So that is what trauma does. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But because I never dealt with it, I will do the same to the next generation.
Wow.
Yes.
You become the monster you are fighting.
Yes. That is exactly what has happened. You can be able to get into the internet. The information is there. You will see all of them.
Wow.
They were fighting for injustices. In fact, they were talking very strongly. But the very same things they fought against, they are the same things they are doing. Because their mental status never healed.
Wow, and this is where mind transformation comes in, right?
So that even if we are sitting down to talk, we are saying this is the problem. This is how I hurt you, Amy. I hurt you this way. I did this against you. I killed your child. I took your land. I took your money. Forgive me. And I am willing, like the tax collector in the Bible, when he met Jesus, he was willing to return what he had stolen.
Let's start there, please.
So I am saying that is reconciliation. I know reconciliation commissions have been done so many times during after the post-election violence that happened. I am assuring you that was just a commission that was formed in a room.
Yeah.
It never
got to the people who actually hurt.
Nobody, the people who lost their properties, nothing was done.
They had to start afresh.
Literally, people took people's buildings and started asking for rent. A home you've never built. And it became theirs.
No.
And I mean, that person is somewhere seeing it happening, and nothing was done. And then you tell us there was reconciliation. It didn't happen. So what will the same pain meted on me is the same one I will pass on to the next generation, and that is where we are as a nation.
Oh my!
So we are simply suffering from pain passed on from a generation to another. So my question, Amy, and maybe this is the voice that we can be able to ask.
Yeah.
Do we still continue passing on the same?
We shouldn't.
But if there is nothing that will happen, the mother to that young boy, tell me the pain they have been left with. The parent to Rex and the others and Evans and all those other people. Dr. Margaret, who was shot while helping
oh my God.
protesters. That family that has been left, how are people supposed to move on? Will they not push their way to the top so that they can revenge? Are we on a revenge mission as a nation? Because it might be we are revenging. The only challenge is that we are revenging on the wrong people. And that is what happens when our mental status is not dealt with. Because I have not healed. So I'm operating from a place of pain and dissatisfaction and dissent and anger. So the moment I get an opportunity to revenge,
you do it all out.
I will do it worse than my
Predecessor, yeah.
Are we not in it?
Sounds like a movie, and the title is How Villains Are Born. Like, it's just, it sounds like, this whole thing just sounds like it should be a scripted movie, and now we should just say, thank you for coming, the show is over. However, it's real life, and it's actually a bit overwhelming, which is now why I think this conversation is so paramount, because how do we just ground ourselves? How do we get to that point of forgiveness? Kwanza, how do we get to forgiveness? Because what are you talking about, Madam Anne?
You see, forgiveness, and this is what has never happened. You know, we are told to forget and move on.
Mm-hmm.
I have had so many people tell me,
Mm-hmm.
The finance bill was
Stripped off, so stop. Yeah.
So move out of the streets. What is this that you are pushing? Others are saying that the president will not leave.
Mm-hmm.
Move out of the streets. So they are telling them the 39 youth
lives
who were killed
don't matter.
Yeah. Those who are writhing in pain in hospitals don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many youth, a number of them that have been maimed. They will never walk again.
God.
Yes, that is the reality. So we are being told even that one, move on.
Yeah.
Property that was destroyed, move on.
How?
I mean, let us. Now that is forgiveness.
No.
So the truth is, not unless we sit down as a nation.
God.
And we will not only be healing the present wounds. Can we also define this and call it national trauma?
Yes, please.
Until we heal the national trauma. 7 years from today,
it will happen again.
30 years from today,
it will be the same story. Because Madam K, actually, as you say that, it's just dawned on me that I think the only generation that has not seen any form of violence in the streets in this country is the one that is yet to be born. Because every single person living in Kenya right now has gone through a season, a writhing, grilling, terrifying season of protesting, of pain, of fighting for the rights one way or another. And tell me why the same rights were being fought
for. The rights you're talking about, you will never be able to get hold. But there is no,
we are still, that's the problem.
Even right now, the reason as why I believe many people don't really trust, it is because of the past.
Wow.
We've been promised a heaven. I mean, heaven.
Yeah.
If you look at the process of 1990, Emmy in 1990, I was in class 4. I was 10 years. When I was 10 years, many of the leaders you see on the front line were fighting for us. Us. They fought for us.
Yeah.
They fought for us, but there are the same people that are fighting us.
Wow.
So there are some things, and they are fighting in the same nature they were being fought that time.
Wow.
So the only way we can explain this mentally is that it's a cycle of national trauma.
Wow.
We need to be intentional and heal from the root. So if we don't heal from the root and be able to sort out the mess, I don't need to be a prophet to say this.
But
7 years, 10 years to come, we'll be back at the same place.
Madam K.
The same people calling themselves the Gen Zs now will be doing the same to the generation.
God forbid. God forbid.
But that is what the people in the 90s did. They went to the streets. Even the plan is that there will be a Sabasaba thing. The Sabasaba thing was that they were fighting for us. But they're the same people fighting us now.
Yeah.
same faces that really fought hard. They're the ones now doing what they were fighting against.
Madam K, you've said something about being honest and forgiveness. It makes sense if it's between me and you. We'd talk, we have that ability. But how do we face each other as a country? We are 54 million people who all feel the trauma. How do we come together? How do we heal? How do we forgive? What do we do?
The beginning point in me is intentionality in the honesty.
Okay.
So if we were as honest as we ought to, healing would happen. Because the first thing in any form of healing is acknowledging that there is this wound, there is this national trauma that we are passing from one generation to another, oppressing one generation to the other.
Okay.
So the first point is I acknowledge.
Okay.
I acknowledge all is not well. But you see now mostly you'll find, even when we have a conversation, even when we call the church and when we call the civil society and when we call everybody else, we want to begin from the point of let's calm down. Calming down is cover up. You're telling us, let us cover up. Let us cover up. Nothing has happened. Let us cover up. In fact, they say those things are of the past. They are not of the past. They have been left in the unconscious mind and they will show up. And that's why they are showing up. So if I am in power, the way they show up by oppressing the one who is lower than me. If I am in a place of I can be able to steal from you, I will not be stealing per se.
Yeah.
I will be telling myself, I was also oppressed. So it is my time to eat. They eat. In the other generation, now it's my time to eat.
Yeah.
And that's why somebody is comfortable. I mean, there's no problem. I mean, I am okay.
What's the big deal?
I am okay stealing 2 billion. And you know, nowadays we are talking about 2 billion.
Like it's too shilling. I know.
In fact, our shilling is supposed to be called 2 bob. 2 billion should be 2 bob. 2 bob. Isn't it 2 B? 2 bob. Because we are talking about 2 billion, Amy, as if
it's valueless.
We are having a fundraiser in church and we are intending to build 26 assemblies with 2.5 billion.
Wow.
That is what people are stealing
daily.
So not unless it is a 2 bob, not unless now you're telling me 2 billion is 2 bob. 2 bob, the shilling.
Yes.
The ones that we will play
coins,
with.
yes.
Coins. That is how money has been converted. But why is this person stealing? They are stealing because they are healing the trauma of what was stolen from them, what they supposedly feel was stolen from them. So if we are to heal this situation, we have to go back. We have to go back and acknowledge as a nation we are having a national trauma. And the trauma goes back to the time the white man landed in Africa. That is how far it is.
Yeah.
The other time I was just looking, I was observing how we got here. So the settler and the Mzungu and that one, when they came, they suppressed the African. But they used to work with Africans. So any African who had an opportunity of working with the whites had a little privilege that this one did not. So when we were pushing the white out,
the
this class that had an opportunity of being closer to the whites
became the oppressor.
Took the very nature of the oppressor.
Oh my goodness.
And turned their color. The color of their heart is white.
Wow.
but the color of their skin is black.
Wow.
I said the color of their heart is white, but the color of their skin
is black.
And we started taking land.
Wow.
Pushing everybody else who is a nobody.
Goodness.
Behaving the same way the oppressor was behaving. Because the heart, and when we are saying the heart, remember it's the mind. The heart is white, but the color is black. So when I appear to the oppressor, I'm telling them, we have taken the nation to ourselves. We don't have it. The person who is white in the heart is the one who is having the nation. And that's why the Mama who went into the forest to fight got nothing. To date,
they're still wanting to.
They are still demanding. Many of them died having never received anything.
Oh my God.
So that is where our trauma begins. Tell me which year are those.
So, Madam K, it just sounds like people need to come back and return what is not theirs. But the question is, who is going to return what they feel?
If we are honest enough, we know what we have that does not belong to us.
Okay.
If what we are lacking is honesty. Amy, if I steal your phone, I know it is your phone. So if I want to return, I can. So they know. Those who have thousands of pieces of land in Kenya know. They know.
They know where it began.
So it's honesty.
And what you were talking about with glorifying injustice, I know in Kenya we make so many jokes. I'll put them in quotes because I don't think they're actual jokes. Because someone will say, where was my grandfather? When the other grandfathers were getting land, you know? Others will say, once I get into that office, I know exactly where I'm going to start. And they say it in conversation.
But are you hearing that it's not just a statement?
Exactly.
But it is a statement of trauma.
Correct.
When I get to that office, I have been eyeing to revenge.
From that place of pain.
Even right now.
Yes.
You see the movement that we have formed? If this conversation will not happen, this will be the most beautiful generation.
And that's why we are seeing even some who are turning from being peaceful to the minute they have an opportunity to destroy or to loot or to do whatever. Yes, some may say they were paid, others, but you see, this is still someone who is deciding to go and do it.
They are not deciding.
Yeah.
Trauma is pushing them
into that place.
Yes, that is what is hidden in
their hearts.
In the fabric of our morality as a nation.
Wow. So is it possible to turn it around? Like, okay, yes, honesty. But what does that look like? Does it mean we have stakeholders talking about it? Does it mean we now start representing people? We've seen how
having
that
as many conversations like we are honest ones, not the kind of
hidden,
not the kind that we see. Because you see, there are these faces that we see talking every other time.
Yes.
But the face that is talking and the person that we know are different. Someone is talking about justice. They are talking about honesty. We know they are not honest. Because we know them on the ground. And the same has crept into our churches.
Yeah, wow.
The moment I have an opportunity of oppressing, remember, I said it is a national trauma. It is in the fabric. And it goes deep. I think as we were beginning, as I was talking about the aspect of the journey of my dad, it is a story that is in the hearts of many. And I've had this conversation in the spaces that people are talking, whether online or wherever people are talking. I've had many people allude. I'm a son of an Mau. I am a blood of a Mau.
Wow. Wow. So they're actually going back to those places, to those times.
The
Even
root of the
wow.
soul. We're going back to the root. But we can heal as a nation.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I believe we can. Just like a person is able to heal
I won't.
from any trauma, we can. We can heal from this national trauma that we need right now. Honesty.
Wow.
Place of integrity. Acknowledging that atrocities were done on people. There is no way you tell me we have seen a person being blast their brain
on the streets,
on open. I mean, on the daylight, not at night. And you want us to have a conversation that person was not shot. Now, what have we?
Yeah, I see.
Not unless we are not.
Yeah.
I don't know whether even we are living.
I tell you, this is
and that is the pain of trauma. And because it has worked in the past, you know, I mean, move on.
Yeah.
Move on. Just move on.
Where did you hear that happened? Were you there?
Move on. Yes, there are so many questions of if you are there. Move on. So the moving on, we are moving from where to where?
To where, yeah.
So the truth is Kenya has never
moved on. Wow.
And that's why, Amy, I know you also read set books. All the set books that we study in our schools.
I think they were all talking about corruption.
Listen, they are written by Kenyans. So it is a Kenyan like me who has trauma, who says, let me use my
skill,
my literary skills, so that at least I can be able to express this pain that I've been having through this book, and maybe at least it will plant some seeds in the hearts of the reader.
Wow!
Look at all of them. I never read yours. I read one that was Kisima Chagini, I read Government Inspector, I read Shamba Lawanyama. Those books are the same as the ones we are reading today.
Yeah.
I read one that was being called The First Delivery and many stories. There was a story that was calling, that was being told, do you know somebody? Do you know somebody? It was a story of this mother who wants to deliver. At that time, we were in a mess in the hospitals.
Wow.
So this mother, this guy who is supposed to be taking the wife to deliver in a hospital, and because he did not know anyone in that hospital, this guy was working in a farm as a milk deliverer. So he was taking his second delivery of milk, and the wife was also giving birth to the second. That's why the title was The Second Delivery. That is how fresh those stories stick in our mind. I'm talking about a story of 20 plus years.
Wow.
So he delivers, the boss insists that you must take milk. In the process of taking milk, of course, the wife is due.
Wow.
And he gets late from taking the wife to the hospital at the right time. But now lands in the hospital because he does not know everybody.
She dies.
Of course, she dies. And she was now doing the second delivery. But that is where we are. That is where we've always been. It is a question of, do you know somebody? So it is pain. Those books are written out of frustration and pain. So if we release this one, maybe it might help.
Yeah. An enemy of the people.
Betrayal in the city.
Betrayal in the city. Oh my goodness.
Now they are
it's so true.
Now they are reading
Mr. Hikimea. Shamba la Wanyama.
No, Mr. Hikimea is for a few years back. They are reading. Okay. But it's purely, if you listen
The same thing.
it's the same.
The context is the same. Wow. That actually makes sense, because it said that the art that is expressed in a society is actually depictive of the moral, the society, where the moral fabric of that society. So it would make a lot of sense that the books that are being written and read are actually mirroring the society that we have.
The trauma of the nation.
Wow.
So yes, we were talking about mental wellness during times of unrest. And because these are the times that I am a believer of going back to default mode. Anytime you need to sort out something, please don't do cosmetics. Because if I have pimples or things that are on my face that I don't like, whether I use the best of makeup,
the problem is
the
still
scar
there.
is still there.
Yeah, deal with it.
So deal with the scar.
Yeah.
So I feel like for us to even at least begin healing as a nation, because it will be a journey. The journey cannot be a journey of one day, but we can be intentional and begin healing.
Yeah.
If it is this generation that is going to decide that we will not carry the pain of the past into the present, we will choose to heal, because there are traumas that we may not be able to get all the answers we need. Like now, we cannot go and change what was done to our fathers, grandfathers, and great grandfathers in the Baobab. We cannot change that, but we can choose moving forward. We acknowledge the pain that happened. We acknowledge that we can see the results of the trauma in the nation.
Yes.
Now, moving forward, we don't want to carry any trauma into
the future.
And every single sign that we see, which is connected to trauma, we are not handling it. One of the issues that is connected to trauma is corruption. Emmy, why will I be taking 1 million a day?
You can't spend it.
Emmy, I cannot sleep in 2 beds.
You can't.
I cannot drive 2 cars at the same time.
You can't.
Even if I buy the whole supermarket, all the food in the supermarket, I can only eat 1 plate at a time.
That's true.
So where are you taking all this money? Where? Even if I take thousands and thousands of land, I will be buried in a 3 by 6 or whatever size.
Yeah.
That is the only possession I possess as I live.
Wow.
If we can be able to reach to those truths and internalize them as a society and say, yes, I'll be satisfied with what I have. And be able to accept the situation we are in, we can heal. We can start to heal. And be intentional into looking at that woman in Turkana who does not know what is tap water. Yet I am standing here and calling myself a leader to that one. Don't go too far. Let's get into our slums right here, a few meters from the city. This person who is sleeping in something that looks like a nest.
Yeah. And
I'm also calling myself their leader. They cannot access toilet. They will not access food. There is no education. So, and I am still accumulating. Well, and I even make it worse. I go on social media and I show it and I place it on this table. And I'm calling myself a leader. What kind of a leader? So we can be able to heal if we are willing.
Wow. I hear what you're saying, and I feel like those are still the same sentiments of some of the people that brought in some questions. Maybe if we have some time, you can address some of the questions that we have. And then if we don't have enough time, we can see whether we can push it forward to something else.
Answer the questions in the next session, because I also believe the time is up. But basically, we are saying it's possible
to heal. We need that healing, because I don't see us going through this only to go through it again. This is already so stressful.
If nothing is done, we will go through it.
Oh no.
We went through it. Mau, we went through it. 82, we went through it. 69. I mean, we will go through it.
This has to stop. We have better things to do at this point. Like, I feel like Kenya does not have a money problem. You know, we are a rich country. We are wealthy. We have the money. We have the resources. We clearly have the brains.
We spend a billion per day.
We definitely don't have a money problem. We have a spending problem.
We have an integrity, honesty problem.
We do. We need to fix. But if we can get to a point of honesty where everything can just be brought back to the table, and we just start from, this is where we are at as a country, let us begin from here, or this is how we are going to move on from here, then I think we're actually headed in the right direction, and all this will not have been for nothing. And the lives lost, even over the generations, will also matter, because it's not only the lives that have been lost now.
Good. Thank you. That was God of Wonder TV. I know today has been a little bit different, but it is the situation we are in. It's where we are at. And our prayer and desire is that as a nation, we will also be able to have a mental wellness that is healed. Thank you.
You are watching God of Wonder TV to refill, refresh, and resent by the word of nation.